This is gonna be fun, I promise.
I'm not, listen, I absolutely.
All right. Steve Coatesy. Can I call you Coatesy? Is that
Yes,
cool
sir.
with you? Okay. So I talked to you earlier this week about coming on the show, and then I have another player coming on the show tomorrow morning. Bob Kelly, you know him as the Hound.
I just did an event with.
You
I
did?
was just with, yeah, we did the Flyers Cup luncheon. Just was there today.
He told me to bring this story up. So this is his fault. You were on a breakaway as a member of the Detroit Red Wings and pulled a hamstring while on the breakaway. True or not true?
True and not true.
Okay.
Okay.
Like all Hound stories.
No. It was the wrong appendage. I pulled a groin. All right. There's a little different here. So I got to Detroit. I got traded to Detroit. I was the end in the trade. And Steve Coates. So it was Terry Murray, Bob Ritchie, Dave Kelly, and Steve Coates for Mike Corney and Rick LaPointe. Rick LaPointe being the big part of that trade.
Yeah.
So I get there and I got a bad groin. And I say to Larry Wilson, the coach, I said, I got a bad groin. He says, don't worry the thing. So we go play Buffalo that night. And I'm a mess. So we fly to New York the next night to play the Rangers. And I'm just scared shitless of telling Lefty Wilson that I'm doing this, that I can't play because of a groin. I just got traded there.
Right.
So I
first impressions and all.
Yeah, make you feel like the thing. So I take a few days off, and about a week later, we're playing the Islanders on a Tuesday night, and Larry Wilson says, you got to play. We traded for you. You got to play. I said, I'm not ready to play. My groin was really bad. That's the worst thing for a hockey player is a pulled groin.
Yeah.
So I end up playing. He says, oh, you won't be in the starting lineup. I have you kill penalties. I'm in the starting lineup. And next thing you know, I get through the first period. I'm doing well. I fought, oh, geez, I'm just forgetting about, I know him so well. Doesn't matter. Next though, we get in the second period and I do something that I don't usually do. I was blocking a shot. I don't block shots. That's why the goalie wears all that equipment. So the puck comes off of the defenseman's stick and I block the shot. Now the puck goes firing out into the neutral zone. I got a breakaway. I go firing through the neutral zone and right at the red line, my groin just pops. The crowd goes from a yay to a boo because when I got to the far blue line, I fired the puck into the corner. Chico Resch was the goalie, and he probably was wondering, what the hell? I just joked with him about it last week because he said, I thought all these years you were scared of me. No, I pulled my groin. And I fired the puck into the corner, and I skated right off the ice. And that was it.
That was it. That was done for the game.
Done for the game. I was done for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Pulled groin. What are you gonna do? And then
hey, everybody to this day. Well, I guess the coach told you to dump it in because we were planning to dump it in. Yeah, right. I'm coachable. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I'm glad Hound brought that up for you.
He did immediately. That was like, you got to ask him about this.
If this wasn't PG, I could tell you some more after that. But
we can go PG-13. I mean, we're not as hardcore as some other shows, but we can push the boundaries a little bit because you're a man who has stories, and that's why it was phenomenal to me to kind of research your career and preparing for this. Like, you're so integral to the Flyers, but you weren't a Flyer. But I feel like you're as part of the organization, as much a part of the organization as anybody.
Yeah, I was in the minors. Yeah.
You're in the minors. Yeah.
Yeah. And we back in the minors, back in those days, when your dad was playing, I mean, nobody made the Flyers. I mean, if you came to training camp, you knew you were going to Richmond or you're going somewhere.
Right.
For years, I told Keith Allen that he was the best travel agent I ever had because every year I went there, I was getting sent stuff. Right. So, but back in those, there's nobody. I mean, nobody even got called up. Nobody got injured. It's unbelievable when you look back at like if a guy got injured, one time they actually called Mike Boland up from the Philadelphia Firebirds because they didn't want to bother calling anybody up for Richmond. It was too far to come. He was already in Philly, just let him play.
Right.
But nobody, if you look at the pictures of hockey teams back in the 70s and the 60s, it was minimal. 20 guys, maybe one extra guy. You know, your backup goalie back in the early 60s or 50s was the trainer. I mean, it was minimal and nobody was getting hurt. Now, multiple injuries every year, multiple people in the picture.
Yeah.
Times have changed. But I was in the minors and I got traded to Detroit. And then I actually was brought back to play for the Maine Mariners in 78. And I was just absolutely horrible there. But, you know, the key, and if you ask anybody who played on that team, I was the big key to winning the Calder Cup. You know why? They didn't play me.
Part of the strategy. Keys to the game. You know, you're familiar with those. Yeah. Coats.
Yeah, keys to the game.
You're the second Maine Mariner I've talked to in the past week. Dave Poulin being the other one. But I think the key to the game was to play Poulin.
Yeah, I would say that it was a big key. Yeah, I played Brian Burke. You know that name, right? Brian Burke. Okay. Brian Burke played in that team, and he to this day is still, if I walked in him tomorrow and he'd say, "How's my ring?" Because I played in the final game instead of him. So for 40 years now, he keeps bringing it up. How's my ring? I said, you got a ring just because you didn't play. It wasn't my fault. You sat in the stands. I sat on the bench. What's the big deal? He's still talking about it. Still.
You know, but I know you most obviously from broadcasting, Steve.
Right.
And I was an avid watcher of Coatesy's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what Coatesy's Corner is, I don't know how many teams sort of followed this model, but instead of just showing highlights of the game, the period you just saw, which is, I feel like, a mistake for intermission programs. Like, you just saw this stuff. You would kind of inject an element of comedy to it. And I was hypercritical of it because I was a teenager and knew everything. But I also appreciated it. Like, you were trying to bring something different to the sort of the wasted space of a broadcast, those intermission reports that I feel like basketball is doing a really good job of, but hockey still struggles with. Tell me one about the inspiration and the freedom that you were given or not given doing Coatesy Corner. And
I could tell you the whole.
Please
it's a great story. We're sitting in training camp in Peterborough in the year would have to be the beginning of the 2000 season. And Ron Ryan, who at that time was the president of the hockey club, he said, I want you to do something that's along the line of what Coach's Corner is with Don Cherry. Okay. And I said, okay. I said, who's going to be the straight man? And he said, well, we're not going to do that. You'll just do this by yourself. And I'm going, how often am I going to do this? You're going to do it every game. Every game at home? No, every game home on the road. And I went, wow, that's a lot of content.
Yeah.
That's a lot of content.
Especially without a straight man.
Yeah, we have an absolute perfect group as far as you've got 20 players, 5 coaches, you've got numerous abilities to be able to do things with them. The idea was to be at points humorous, at other times educational, historical, and informational. So we could hit everything. And we tried to, and you asked the question about my constraints. I had none.
Good.
None. If I wanted to do, like, if I thought I was going to be a little controversial, I would test it with Ron. Just a little bit. Like, I went after Yashin one time about all the money and not wanting to play and all that. Actually, that was one of the first Coaches Corners I did. And then I used to get myself in a little bit of trouble with the league. But I was just trying to be.
But what would that trouble look like? It must have been worth it for you.
Well, I was always a proponent of fighting. I had T-shirts that said, "Coatsy's right, let them fight." And at the same time, the league was doing everything in its power to be able to cut down on the fighting. I'm still a big proponent of the fighting. I'm a true believer that the game has to be policed on the ice by the players themselves. That's why you get so many bad injuries right now, because nobody worries about it except for getting suspended and losing money as compared to getting your brains beat in.
$5,000. I mean, that's like amazing.
I felt that was a little bit more of a deterrent. But I also understand the league standpoint about the fact that with injuries being so, you got liabilities and players getting hurt a lot worse than they were back in the day when they didn't wear helmets. I mean, your dad was at that time one of the few guys that was smart enough to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And that all those things have changed. So I understand that, but I felt that it was a cause I wanted to go after, and I would do it.
But what would in trouble with the league look like? Would you get a call? Would you get threatened, like a brick through your window?
No. But they would, like, I'd see them the odd time and say, "I saw your Coatesy's corner." That type of thing. Where we did get in trouble with the league when it comes to going after referees. That flat out came from them saying, you got to stop, especially with the new rules coming in back in the early, I think we're just coming in off the lockout, 2004-5.
Right.
And the rules changed and it opened up the ice, and it was going to thing. And we had just picked up two big defensemen, Hatcher and the kid from San Jose, big, tall kid. And they didn't have the wheels, so we kind of got caught flat-footed there. But no, Coatsy's corner was to this day was an outstanding avenue to the player. We always look at the player. If you interview a player coming off, it's under, how did you do this period? Or you interview him between periods, or you interview him about the fact that it's about the game. It's about the game. What we did was we brought out the player in such a way that, wow, I didn't know that, or I didn't know about him, and especially we did something funny. I mean, all the players wanted to do. They really wanted to do Coatsy's corners.
Yeah, I believe that. I totally believe that.
So I would tell them that, this is what we're going to do, and they just absolutely start roaring. Okay, let's go. What are we going to do? And
I think that players are desperate for. I interviewed. I feel like it sometimes feels like I'm name dropping on the show, but it's just guests.
That's okay.
It's just not. And they're not so I was talking to John LeClaire about this because he was notoriously media shy. And he brought up, no, I wasn't. I was just bored. How do you feel after losing 2 straight games? That's a boring question. But if you ask John LeClaire, what's your favorite GNR song or something like that, that's the kind of thing they want to open up to. And, as few times as this happens with the NHL now, that is kind of remarkable to me because they had the template with you, and then you were kind of modeled off of, Coach's Corner with Don Cherry.
Right.
It's like, let's inject some personal stuff into this game, which is what every other league is figuring out how to do. And so in a lot of ways, you were kind of a pioneer, and I think that people should really appreciate the effort, because the reason that I like it is I would have no idea anything about players except for their number, their weight, their stats. And then you would interview them, and then it'd be like, well, I know what movie they're going to see next weekend. And that's everything.
But I think Roenick started doing that on NBC. And Roenick did a couple of Coatsy's Corners with me, and he was always fabulous character, a great personality. And he would go along with everything. And some of the Coatsy's Corners I did, every one of those players had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And,
that's the one thing, if I see them on the road now, or I see them, then they'll always go back to the Coatsy's Corners. And the ones that, like the one with Robert Esch that I did is probably one of my favorite. Sergei Bobrovsky, the one I did with Santa Claus, was one of the favorites that's still on YouTube. But Robert Esch, I had a bet with him that I could score on him on a breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, there's no way in the world that you can stop. You're going to take a penalty shot and score on me. I mean, look at you, you're half dead. How are you going to be able to skate it? How are you going to skate and come in and score on me? I said, I'll do it. I'm telling you right now, let's bet. So the camera was up high, showed me coming in from, and what he didn't know is I had taken a fishing line, a 5-foot long fishing line, put the fishing line through the puck, and now I've got it attached to the stick, but you can't see the fishing line.
Right.
So I come in and I pretend that I lose the puck. So it goes 5 feet to the right. He goes and follows the puck. All I do is pull it back on the fishing line and fire the puck into the net. And
I remember this. I weirdly remember this bit.
I remember.
Why do I remember that bit?
I remember doing it with the in front of in 1986, 87 in the Spectrum. We played the Hollywood All-Stars.
Yes.
Yeah, your dad played in that game.
I remember this weekend very well. I'd love to talk about this weekend a little bit.
Yeah, so we were playing the Hollywood All-Stars, and the next thing you know it, we're gonna the guy said, well, you got to do that trick with the string. I said, well, should we tell the goalie? No, don't tell the goalie. So we set it up for me to get a penalty shot in the third period. Got 17,000 people in the old Spectrum. I go in, do the old thing. Well, I bring the string back. This guy goes down like a rock. He snaps his groin.
Oh, God.
And I felt so bad. He wouldn't even talk to me at the cocktail party after.
Do you remember who it was?
Huh?
Do you remember who it was?
It was a kid that played in all the goalie in all the movies back in the day when they did hockey.
Right. Yeah. It was
so I lost a friend there. Wasn't my fault. I should have told him.
Those Hollywood All-Star weekends were wild, man. I mean, this was, I know you remember, and this will be for solely the Philly audience, but good for that. Philly 57. They were aired on Philly 57, and maybe it was you, because I don't know who was doing the intermission reports then, but I got interviewed about the celebrities that I had met, and I just shit the bed. Like, I couldn't think of anybody's name because I was terrified. I never had a microphone in my face. I had massive bifocals. I was self-conscious as hell. So guess who I said, going back to the beginning of this interview? Bob Kelly. Now, in that, it was an adult's name that I remembered. I met like.
You remember the one that you're talking about, because there was a couple of them, but the one you're talking about, how old would you have been at 86, 87?
7. Yeah, 7
so
years old.
Would that be the time?
That sounds right. That sounds, because it was the one with Alex Trebek, I think Richard Dean Anderson.
Trebek.
Yeah.
No, you know what? That was another one. Alex Trebek came in. This one, Alex Trebek and all that was hold on.
Later.
Alex. Well, Odd Job was the coach.
Yes.
From
the
okay, so it was 86, 87. That's what it was. Alex Trebek, the guy from Anderson. Also Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer, yep.
Yeah, it was 86, 87, because we went to the Sheridan after, and I had, I did still have it. I wish I could find the tape of that game. It's somewhere here in the old tape, the whatever that was, VCR.
Yeah, I have it.
Tape of you being interviewed on Channel 57 on VCR.
Of course I have
somewhere in my house.
I would love to send you everything that we have, because I think I have the entire game recorded.
You do?
I think so. Yeah, I think that is somewhere. We recorded the weirdest stuff on VHS. Like it's just so odd. We have Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then my dad's Hollywood All-Star game. So you
got to look that up, because I'd love to be able to get that video of the penalty shot again.
Okay, yeah, I'll call my dad, because I'm almost positive that we still have it.
He would probably have it.
Yeah.
Did he score a goal? If he scored a goal in that game, that's not going anywhere. Okay. Yeah.
All right, we got derailed a little bit, but it was fun. Coach's Corner. Why did it stop?
From what I understand, what I was told was that the new head of the network for Comcast Sportsnet at the time, who I didn't know, you had San Jose, Chicago, Washington, and Philadelphia all having regional broadcasts that were Comcast Sportsnet that owned the rights of those teams. and they wanted to have the in-between periods all look the same. So they all went to a studio show.
Oh, I see.
And so they started to dwindle it out. I got to remember, I probably around 2013, 2014, because I left TV in 2015, I think, to go back to radio, because I have a face for radio at my age. So yeah, 2014, I think it ended. That'd be my guess. So I did 14 years of it.
Yeah.
So
did you ever think about trying to just to keep it going? Because in 2014, that was the emergence of alternative media. You could have maybe done it on YouTube, found some funding. Did anything like that occur to you, or was it just like it had its run?
It had its run. I couldn't skate anymore. I've had my knees done now. I could probably skate again, because that's a big part of it, to be able to go out there with the players. The other thing is that we did try to do it just like doing on Flyers television, which is on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We did a couple, and it became too hard because I couldn't get to the players like I used to.
Access
Became a little bit more scrutinized as far as what I was doing. Like when I had Braden Shen, who now just won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to race you around the ring. He goes, there's no way in the world you can race me and beat me. And I said, well, he says, there's not going to be any tricks, is there? And I said, no, I'll be out there with my skates on. Well, what happened was he came out, I had my skates on. The only thing is I had a skidoo there, and I had one of the more powerful skidoos. And what I did is I didn't even steer it. I just went right around the boards. I fired around the boards to beat him around the rink.
Yeah.
So everybody was worried about what happens if the skidoo comes off the wall and it runs right into Braden Shen. I said, it can't, because I'm going to have it right up against the wall.
Right.
The centrifugal force of the thing going around the boards is not going to come on. Yeah. So it just became too hard to be able to, and the players, I don't even know if it just lost it. 600 is a lot.
It's a lot, that's as many episodes as The Simpsons had. I mean, think of yourself in that category of television. There you go.
All right.
Yeah. But it
was very popular.
But that's sort of frustrating to me, Coatesy, and I don't know if you share the sentiment. I know that you're still, a color analyst on radio, which limits you on how creative you can be. But one of the things about the NHL is frustrating to me is that they prohibit this sort of fun. That the intermission reports now are strictly clinical, and I'd love to see something like you or your heir apparent, or do a show or an intermission report just like this. And I don't know, do you agree with that? Because I think comedy and I think laughs are the best thing to experience when you're not watching the actual game. And I feel like TNT has learned this with Charles and Shaq.
Well, Charles and Shaq, Charles is such an unbelievable personality.
Sure.
And they let him go. They let him go.
But it's funny.
Shaq, yeah. It's interesting. A guy like Keith Jones, who is a very dear friend of mine, who I just think does a spectacular job doing NBC. And he is one of the quickest witted guys. He is hilarious. But we're stereotyping what we've got. And when you think of the in-between period show here on Comcast, any one of the broadcasts in the National Hockey League for any team, they're all the same. Yeah. All they're doing is talking about the game.
Right.
And that's what was interesting about Coach's Corner. And that's why the ratings would like, if you go on a rating point now, the ratings fall off when you go to the in-between periods.
Sure.
They didn't fall off with Coach's Corner.
I believe you. Yeah. I'd stick around for it.
We had the same sponsor for all those years, Chevrolet. Never got offered a car for that. I never thought about, saying, you could probably get me a nice Corvette for doing Coach's Corners, brought to you by Chevrolet. Never happened. But, the people that run the show, that's what they believe. And it'll be interesting to see with Turner getting the broadcast rights, if their thought process and philosophy continues on with the NHL, with having a guy like Barkley, a personality like Barkley and Shaq go at it, have fun and things like that. Because we are, last time I checked, in the entertainment business.
Absolutely you are. And it's a great sport. And then for me, I think, Jonesy has been a guest on here, and so is Boucher. And I both think that they're absolutely great at what they're being asked to do. And I know that NBC Sports has probably played it conservative. This was their first big major sports signing.
Yeah.
So I get that. But I'm very hopeful now about the NHL moving on to a limited degree ESPN, but to a bigger degree, TNT and TBS. I think that I hope that there are some visions over there that realize this sport is fantastic, but it takes more than a fantastic sport to reach new fans. I have a feeling Alex Ovechkin is hysterical. I don't know why I feel that way, but he just seems like a weird, wonderful guy that I think could be really funny if you put him in the right situation.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think it's in it. I have to bring this up, that if you noticed that the personalities, when Roenick was there, Jones and Boucher, all former Flyers.
Yeah.
And all were unbelievable on Coates's corners. Jonesy was one of my best. Bouch was one of my best. They all had personality, and that's the key. And we brought the personality out.
Yeah.
Now, the league right now, and I'm excited about what's happening right now, Zach, because, we've had a couple of tough years, and every sport has, and we've been out of the limelight. People we were played so that people would know that we weren't going to go away. But if you've watched any of the playoffs, man, I'll tell you what, this hockey has been absolutely unbelievable. The grit, the work ethic is back. So that's
not
the
only
only way.
It's delivering everything as promised. Every game is going to overtime. I mean, not every, I know, but I tell people, watch. If you don't watch the regular season, I get it. The playoffs, get into it. There's nothing like playoff hockey, and it's delivered the season without a doubt.
Absolutely. And that's what sells. The game sells itself.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all this entertaining things that are going on in the building, and I understand that. It's a support to the game. Yeah. But the game is what sells.
The best.
And if you've got hard hitting, fighting, anger, the game has to be played angry. I'll tell you what, this game, if you don't play angry, like we have times now we go, wow, we didn't get penalized this game. Are you crazy?
Get penalized.
What do you mean? You're proud of that? You're proud? You can't play the game without trying to get getting a penalty if you're playing the game the right way. And if the referees understand that, well, that's not really a penalty, we didn't need to call that. The referees right now are staying out of the way. And that's what's so much fun.
Yep. Two things left, Coatesy. One, I can't stop looking at the painting over your right or your left shoulder.
Yeah,
it's fascinating. And I know this is a visual for those listening on the podcast, but I do throw this on YouTube. Because the players that I've talked to now all have this perfectly put together synopsis of their career, and everything. Behind your left shoulder is a very serene painting of what looks like an inlet, perhaps on the Jersey Shore, with some beautiful flowers blooming.
Somebody told me that this is actually a print from some guy that I was doing a Zoom call. Now, you got to understand, Zach, I did all sorts of Zoom calls. Okay. Yeah. All sorts during I did them. I interviewed 5, like all the coaches wanted. We had Zoom. And I had the same look. Okay. It had a huge photo, or actually a collection of all the tickets from, I think it was the year of our anniversary, our 50th anniversary. Yeah. And it had a picture of every different personality from the past, the Flyers, and the present day on each ticket. And it's in this huge case. But I sit up there and I feel uncomfortable. So I don't care what's behind me. So that's why I did. I
love it. It's a lovely print.
Yeah, I could honestly tell you that I really don't care about the print. But somebody pointed it out, like there's a guy's name in it. Like all of a sudden I'm an art guy? No chance.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
All right. And then last thing, this is my goal for the end of 2021.
Okay.
One more episode of Coatesy's Corner. So what I want from you is ideally, and look at this, I have a notebook. I'm writing this down.
Okay.
Who would you want to appear in, this is like the reunion, the series finale, the last episode. Who would you want to appear in this episode? And then we'll start, fleshing out some script ideas. You need what Coatesy's Corners is a series finale.
Well, I got to give that some. I mean, you're talking about from the hockey world.
From any world you want, but I would imagine mostly from the hockey world. I mean, we'll start with that. Print has to be in it somehow.
Well, the print would definitely be. Now that I know that it's, I've drawn attention to it with you and the other person that was on the Zoom call. That obviously there's a little bit more to this. This might be a lot more expensive than I think.
Maybe.
And who does Coates's Corner? Who does Coatesy just as good as Coatesy did? Brian Boucher.
Boucher does Coatesy?
Oh yeah, he could do Coates's Corner. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
He did one in Buffalo with me. Oh yeah, they taped
one wait, he does an impression of you, or he does
I did. What we did is we did it in Buffalo. Okay. And he came on, and I was taped with my, physically taped to a pole behind him that was a background, holding a background, and I had my mouth thing, and he was doing the Coates's Corner without me.
Oh wow!
Hi everybody, welcome to Coates's Corner. And then Coatesy's not here, but here he is, Coatesy right now, and he was talking about, historics of goalie sticks and all that. So yeah, he does a great Coates's Corner.
Okay, so Boucher, I have access to Boucher.
What's that?
I think we could get him on this episode. Anybody else that comes to mind?
There's so many personalities in the league that I mean, I'd really have to give it some thought. I mean, former Flyers that didn't do a Coates's Corner. Wow.
My dad.
Yeah, your dad that'd be a good one. Your dad would be a good one because we have a lot of history.
Yeah. I wrote his name down anyway. I mean, just because.
No, write his name down.
I wrote his name down.
Anybody on that.
Prince, Brian Boucher, and Zak Kindrachuk written down so far.
Anybody anybody that was on that team. Okay. That Stanley Cup team was loaded with
Oh, I know, right? So after that, I just wrote anybody.
But I got to go back here. I mean, Brad Marsh would be a good one.
Really?
Oh yeah, Brad Marsh is a character.
Is he?
Yeah.
I've interacted with Brad, and I think Brad does amazing work. But I think Brad himself would admit that Brad isn't really. Then I just don't know the same Brad.
No, you gotta get him on your show. He's very, very good.
I intend to.
I'm gonna have to, when we do this again, and I've got time, and I hope we do it again. I would love to take that time to think about, because I'll do a Coates's Corner anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, I think it would be a Zoom thing. So we'll have to flesh out a treatment, figure out. All right, episodes were usually what, 4 or 5 minutes? About that?
Anywhere between 2.5 to 4.
2.5 to 4. So that's what we got to figure out. So this is something we'll flesh out. What's going to be? Because remember, keep thinking series finale.
Okay, the series finale.
Yeah. So Coates's Corner series finale. You don't have to come up with any ideas right now, but that should be something that we should get done in the next month or two. And
whatever you want to do.
I'll work. And then it'll be the series finale of Coates's Corner. We'll put it out on YouTube, YouPorn, wherever you think is appropriate. And if you send me a list of people that you'd like to have on, I'll work on getting everybody. I mean, you have as much access as I do. I don't know why I think I'd be better at getting them. I don't know why we have the same cell phone numbers.
It'd be a real interesting thing. I'm gonna have to, and I'm like your dad. We think better with beer.
Okay, get some beer. Get hammered.
Yeah.
Then listen. I'm on West Coast time, so if you're up trashed at 11. It's only 8 o'clock here. Text me some ideas. I'll start
You know
filing
what?
away.
I'll tell you what, I have a lot of bad habits. The trash at 11 isn't one of them.
Okay, good.
That's not included in that.
No, but Coatesy Corner series finale. I'm not even kidding about this. I think that the show deserves a proper finale, and I'd love to work with you to make that happen.
Let's try it.
Let's do it.
We never did have a season finale.
Yeah. All right.
We had That's Doug.
Yeah, that's not the same. That's a clip show. You want your series finale. I think it's a proper chance for you to say your proper goodbye to the Coatesy Corner fans that you never got in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Awesome. I'd love to do it. Well, Steve Coates, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you had fun.
I had a great time. I knew
Good.
I was going to have fun.
Yeah, I thought so.
We haven't even scratched the surface on funny stories in this business.
I know. Well, this is the thing. I want a part 2 coming up, and obviously, we're gonna have to talk again if we really get this Coatesy Corner thing. I know you think this is like bullshitting right now. I want to make this happen. Like series finale.
I know. I'm with you.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
All right. Well, Coatesy, great to talk to you.
Great to you.
Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Yeah, we'll talk soon. Give me a text.
By the way,
anybody you think of.
Next time I talk to you, I'm going to find out more about this picture.
Please do.
Because this is the nicest thing in my house.
It's beautiful. It's stunning.
I know. That makes me cry. It's great.
All right. I will talk to you soon, man. So long, buddy.
You got it.